In our present society, many issues plague our nation, but one more than any other spirals out of control. It affects our children, our families, and even the workplace. That issue is the epidemic of obesity. As the pounds of Americans increase, so do the concerns for their well-being. A recent study done by the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation and Trust for America's Health predicts by 2030, more than half the people in 39 states will be obese. Not overweight, but obese. Why is this affecting our country?
So it's a combination of our dietary habits have changed, our sedentary lifestyle has become more in vogue, I guess. We're not doing the activities that we used to. And so I think it's become a common thing.
Some attribute the rise in obesity to just lack of exercise.
People are too lazy to do stuff for themselves nowadays. Like, instead of walking down the street, a lot of people will opt to take a taxi or they'll take like the bus or something, which is not bad because if it's really far away, then it makes sense to take that.
The CDC describes obesity simply as having excess body fat. It serves as the label of ranges of weight that are above what is considered healthy based on height. The range is determined by calculating a person's body mass index, or BMI. In order for a person to be considered obese, their BMI must be above 30. According to the study, 2 out of 3 American adults are either overweight or obese, translating to nearly 210 million obese and overweight adults. Mississippi holds the title as the heaviest state, with 34.9% of residents being obese. On the other end of the spectrum, Colorado is the lightest state at 20.7%. Over the last 10 years, the percentages of obese individuals have steadily risen, with the numbers in the South outweighing the rest. 20 years ago, no state had an obesity rate above 15%. The rise in obesity has contributed to a number of health-related problems.
We have people with heart attacks, diabetes, hypertension, the bones and joint issues. I mean, even they're even linking in other things with like a fatty liver. And when you have liver failure, there's all kinds of other health problems related to it.
Trust for America's Health reports the estimated medical costs from obesity range from $147 to $210 billion annually. People with obesity pay an average of $1,400 more in medical costs than a healthy person. By 2030, costs could rise to $1 trillion. If America continues the way we are going, things will change for the worse.
Really what we're trying to change the culture. Yeah, and there's some parts of culture you want to keep and embrace, and there's some parts of culture you need to change because they're detrimental.
We could see 6 million new cases of diabetes, 5 million new cases of coronary heart disease, and more than 400,000 cases of obesity-related cancers by the year 2030. Children more than any other will be affected the most. Nearly 1/3 of children and teens are either overweight or obese. Some researchers say this generation of children could be the first generation to have a shorter life expectancy than their parents. The CDC says since the 1980s, the prevalence of childhood obesity has nearly tripled, with direct medical costs amounting to $14.1 billion. With the number of obese people steadily rising, what can America do to prevent the epidemic from escalating to unfathomable proportions? Well, many say that there needs to be more government policies and programs, as well as more nutrition education in the schools and communities. Others say that healthy food needs to be more readily available.
If we can have school nurses coming in and teaching the children, but not just the children, I think we have to teach the adults too, because that generation just doesn't understand.
Some Americans are not pleased with the various regulations the government imposes on them and their food. Take, for example, the ban New York City Health Department has placed on sugary drinks over 16 ounces, but they have reason to.
Because everything in moderation is, people just need to be able to rethink what is moderation, and if they can't think of that for themselves, then maybe we need to define what that moderation looks like so they see moderation. And it's not taking away people's rights, but just helping them to choose rightly. And I think that would be a scriptural take too.
There is not just one simple solution to solving the obesity epidemic. Americans must take responsibility for their bodies and for their country. The fate of our nation depends on it. No one is going to force us to eat healthier or get physical exercise, but these are some of the things that should be done in order to maintain America's health.